Hi everybody, I'm here today to talk about different levels of firearm safety. First rule is I'm going to go over the basic rules of using a firearm or owning a firearm. Number one, even if you clear that weapon and you are 150% sure that that firearm is unloaded, it is still loaded. You do not point it anywhere. You keep that muzzle pointed in a safe direction. You don't do anything with that firearm because it is considered loaded. Even if you know you just cleared and you just checked that firearm, it is still loaded. You always consider it loaded. Second rule, never put your finger on the trigger or anywhere inside that trigger guard until you are ready to send a round out of that firearm. I don't care if you think you know what you're doing. You keep your finger off the bang switch until you are ready to send a round. More accidents are caused by failure to follow these first two rules than anything else, because people will horse around with what they think is an unloaded gun, and that is another point. You should never horse around. Even if you think it's funny to make a friend crap their pants, you never stick a gun at somebody and squeeze that trigger. That firearm is loaded, whether you know it's clear or not. It is always loaded. Even if you're stripping the gun down and have it in parts, you still need to treat that firearm as though it is loaded, because you never know what can happen with a firearm. It is a mechanical device. Any mechanical device is subject to failure at any time. That brings me to my next point, safety precautions. Always wear your safety gear. It doesn't matter if you're just going to go out and plink a few rounds, or if you're going hunting, anything like that. Take your firearm or your safety gear with you. Eye protection. I just saw an article today from Military Arms Channel, and they showed an AR-15 that had catastrophic failure. The man that was shooting it, they haven't gone over all the data on it yet, but they're pretty sure it was an overcharged round. This can happen at any time, whether you load or you buy from the factory. Going to the same point, any type of mechanical device can have a failure. Your cartridges, for everything from like a little 22, 380, 9mm, your big 50 cal BMGs, these are items that are created by us. They're subject to failure. You could have a primer go bad, a click, a misfire. That's a good point too that a man brought up. There's two noises you never want to hear. A click when you're supposed to hear a bang, and a bang when you're supposed to hear a click. But go back to the point that I was talking about. They think it was an overcharged round. This gentleman was wearing his eye protection. When he fired his AR-15, the entire upper receiver has split from the back end at the chamber like a banana. The magazine, I saw the pictures on it. If I can find the link again, I'll put it in the description. But this AR-15 is destroyed. The bolt and the bolt carrier was crammed together. I mean, the entire upper receiver was peeled back like a banana. By the pictures, it looked like the lower receiver was okay, but still, he's going to have to go over that with a fine-tooth comb. Mechanical failure. And if the gentleman hadn't been wearing his eye protection, they'd be calling him Lefty. He'd be like this for the rest of his life. I have even had failures. Just the other day, we'll see, I've got a little spot where a brass casing come back and hit me on the lip. So now I've got a burn on my face. I've had it at the firing range because my CZ52 chucks brass out hard. It hit the stop and it has come back and hit me in the side of the face and at the eye level. If you are not wearing proper safety gear, you are putting yourself at risk for injury. If you enjoy shooting, if you enjoy life, you will wear your safety gear. You have, like me, I wear these on a daily basis. They are ANSI 87 safety glasses. They are ballistic rated. Pick these up at a welding supply shop for about $3. They're safety glasses, ballistic rated, and they're sunglasses. They're comfortable to wear. I wear them on a daily basis. Why? Because I can. I like sunglasses. I like glasses that are going to be durable. If something happens, I've already got safety gear on. I have a concealed carry permit, so I'm wearing my safety gear. Seems funny, but hey, it is. I'm wearing my safety gear. Another thing, especially if you're using like 22s, things like that, even outside, wear hearing protection. Even the little foamies. If you're outside, foamies are okay. If you're shooting anything bigger, such as, I'll talk about the 380 and up, wear the big muffs. I don't care if you don't feel like you're macho, you're saving your hearing protection. I have decreased hearing in my right ear anyways because of minor explosives such as fireworks, things like that, being around loud noises. I used to work in a factory, used to wear these all the time, but still, firearms shooting, I've even been guilty of it myself. I'm getting older, I have learned, wear the hearing protection. You can go and buy a package, I think it's about 20 of these for $2 or $3. You can buy the ear muffs for as cheap as $10 and up to $200 and stuff. They have all different types. They even have ones that look like hearing aids goes in your ear for hunting season. They'll help amplify the ambient noises so you can hear the animals, and they're automatically made to shut off with a loud noise goes into it, so it acts as hearing protection along with the hearing aid. I won't spend the money for those, but you have all different levels of protection. Eye protection, ear protection. Okay, my next point I want to make on firearm safety: keep your gear stored safely. I live at a house, we do not have any children here on a regular basis, but my uncle who lives here has his grandson that comes, so I have my second cousin that shows up. Both of them that come here are young children. My room is off limits. Just because a room is off limits, does that mean I need to be lax on firearm safety? Those kids do not go in my room. But what would happen if they go into my room? Say I leave a firearm laying around. There was a news report a few months ago. A guy went to show his buddy his gun. Broke #1 rule of a gun. He set down a loaded firearm. 4-year-old toddler walked up, picked up the gun, ended up shooting his dad and killed him. 4 years old. For the rest of his life, he'll know that he killed his own father because somebody was stupid and did not follow proper safety. We just had a case here in Tennessee where I live. There was a couple fighting over a firearm. Why they were fighting, I don't know. I wasn't there, but these two are idiots. They were fighting over a firearm that was loaded. The gun went off, shot the man through the hand, and went into the head of their 6-month-old son, killing him. These people shouldn't have had firearms to begin with, but they were handling a loaded firearm near a child. I'm not saying you cannot introduce your children to firearms, but there are appropriate times for that. That was not one of them. They killed their child over stupidity. What's going to happen to them in the court system? Probably not as much as needs to be done to them. Things like this is what aggravates me. We have responsible firearm owners that try to do the right thing. Then you turn around and you have idiots that set back responsible owners every time they do something stupid. Me. My handguns go into this nice lockable case. It's got 4 points and 2 lock handles. It seals up, it's waterproof, it has 3 layers deep. I put my ammunition for the pistols in the bottom. I have it all sorted out. I have my spare magazine carriers for my CZ. They are loaded, they are ready to go, but they're not laying around. They are secured in the bottom. I have a few supplies here, like my bore scope, all the different types of firearm ammunition that I need here. This is only for my pistols. I have this. My tray that holds my 9mm and my CZ goes in, and my tray that holds my Smith & Wesson 22A goes in. Is this completely secure? It's not 100%. Anything is subject to a malfunction or fallible. Right here's all my pistols. If I didn't have them locked up even more, they could be walked off with somebody coming in. Well, but when my nephews are coming to the house, everything is locked in here. This is inaccessible to the children. It is locked, it is put up. My rifles are all locked up and put up. The ammunition is locked in ammo boxes, the old military ammo boxes. Those work great. Now, something I want to discuss though. This pistol. And there I did. I just broke a firearms rule. I just put my finger on that. Is this firearm safe? I don't know. Well, if you look here, there's no magazine in it. Does that mean it's safe? Pull the slide back. There's no shell in the chamber. Is that firearm safe? If I was to hand this to you, would you accept this? Not if you're smart. If I was to hand this to you, slide should be back, locked, magazine well empty, there's no rounds, the chamber is empty, it is clear, it is visible to see. I would take it, notice no finger in the trigger, and I would hand it to you. You would take it, keeping your finger out. You could check it, see the balance, check it, as long as you weren't aiming it anywhere. Your firearm is safe. Is that a safe firearm? Yes. Is it safe? You cannot see the chamber. Now, one thing that I do like about this, well, I do like it and I don't like it. Now here I have an empty magazine. I have an empty firearm. Okay. Put the magazine in it. Now here's the thing. I know it's empty, you can see it's empty. Is this a safe firearm? No. Magazine's in it, chamber is closed. You don't know if I just put a round in it, and I can't tell you definitely that I put a round in it. But I can lock it back. Now here's what's interesting. Now, I'm going to squeeze the trigger. Nothing. Put the magazine in. Oh, gotta take the safety off. You can hear the striker fire. This is one of the types of firearms that they have a magazine lock on. It's off of safety, no striker. Magazine inserted, you can hear the striker. With that feature, is this firearm 100% safe? Still, can have a malfunction, a mechanical failure. Just because I know it won't fire without a magazine in it, what happens if that linkage gets jammed in there and it thinks it has a magazine? I have a round in the chamber and I don't realize it, and I go to demonstrate that. How? I just shot somebody. I didn't follow proper safety. That goes to the horsing around point. Now, I will point this out. I'm getting ready to sell this little firearm. I have a gal that's looking to buy this. It's a little Cobra Enterprises 380 Auto. European style magazine release, 5 shots. It does have one problem that I do not like. I just cocked it. You cannot lock it. I cannot safely lock that back and hand it to somebody. Does not have a magazine lock on it. That's fine with me. Honestly, I don't like the magazine block on it. That's why the firearm I carry is my Czech military CZ52. I'll pull that out here in a second. But with this firearm, I could actually take it, lock it back, show it, and hand it to them such as that. They pick it up, they would check it, no problem. It is a handy little gun. It has the cock indicator on it. It is a good little gun. The only thing I do not like about it is you can't do any adjustments on it. I had bought this for my mom as an early Mother's Day present. We took it out in our little side yard where we got a little shooting area. She fired off some rounds in it. She loved it. She was like, oh yes, I love this gun. It's really nice. Shells were kicking out right over her shoulder. I took it, stripped it down, cleaned it, got it all back together. We go to the range, and this was my mom. And I'm aiming at our backstop over there, and it's uncocked. But she was taking it, and she goes, and she couldn't squeeze the trigger. It has a tight trigger now. And some people it wouldn't bother, but my mom is 5 foot tall. She doesn't have a good grip on it. So that's why I'm actually selling it to a younger gal. She's in her 20s, and it'll be a great little purse gun for her. It's, like I said, it's not bad. It's just I couldn't do any adjustments on it. There is an adjustment, but I wasn't willing to do it, and that was adjusting the shear spring. And that's a big point that I want to point out to people. If you are not a qualified gunsmith, don't be modifying parts inside of a firearm. That causes more and more of a chance for a mechanical failure, which goes against the safety. If you understand this whole video, you know it's coming a full circle about safety. You adjust anything that deals with the shear, you run a risk of turning your little semi-automatic firearm into a fully automatic weapon. What does that mean? Prison. That to make a weapon fully automatic breaks Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives policies and procedures, and it is prison time. There is a gentleman out in California right now, which I wouldn't live in California anyways, and anybody that knows about California would understand. This gentleman home built an AR-15. He went to take it to the local firing range to try it out. It was a fully licensed, you know, his receiver was he had all the permits, had all his ducks in a row. He goes out to fire it. He brings it up. Let me get the gun out. He brings it up, and the shear messes up. Guess what? He now has an illegal firearm. Guess what sucks for him? There was an ATF agent there that day. They saw it. It doesn't matter that it was an accident. He cannot prove it was accident. The shear was messed up. Mechanical failure. Always check your firearms. Know every piece to that firearm. Such as this. This is my Hi-Point 9mm. Notice, empty magazine. Is it safe? Can't tell. I have a brass indicator. I could look here and know that there's no shell in the chamber. Is that safe? How do I know it's safe? Now, no magazine, chamber is clear. I can see all the way down the bore. I can see inside. No rounds. Now, here's an interesting thing. It's locked back. Okay. Trigger lock. This has one too. I bought a 380 Auto that looks exactly like this. Got the chrome rails instead. My mom loves it. It's hers. It's a 380 Auto. My mom, 5 foot tall, rocks this pistol when we go to the firing range. I've been teaching her how to check the gun. I still got to go over some things with her. She's used to the hand grip. I mean, the grip is just right for my hand. My finger overhangs just a hair, but it's a nice pistol. It's a high point, but it's been great for me. Okay, is that gun safe? You just saw me cock it back, nothing in the chamber. The chamber is closed. That is an unsafe firearm. It is loaded. Notice my fingers off the trigger. Am I holding it safely? Yes. Now it's safe for me to carry and walk around with. And that's a point that a gentleman put on a video. Say you go to shoot at a range. Say you're shooting skeet. Before you leave your shooting station, break your weapon open, open your breech, whatever you have to do. Open that firearm up before you carry it from your shooting station to where you're going to secure that weapon. Why? Because you know it's empty. Does anybody else? First firearm rule. If all weapons are loaded at all times. First rule. Always open your firearms. Clear them. Make sure. If you have a bolt action rifle, if you are done shooting, guess what you should do? Take the bolt out. If it's able to come out easily, such as Mosin's, well, most of your bolt action rifles, the bolt comes out very easily. Take the bolt out. You have it clear. It cannot chamber. People look at it as you're carrying it and securing it. They can see, okay, it is unloaded. They'll feel a little bit better. Is it 100% safe? Rule 1, a firearm is always loaded, whether it is or not. It is always loaded. Always consider it loaded. Now, I've showed you these. Now, this firearm I do know is completely loaded. It is chambered. It has a full magazine. The hammer is down. I usually don't carry it with the hammer up just because of the age of the firearm. This firearm is not safe. It is loaded. Full magazine. And the round in the chamber. Now that firearm is safer. I could hand this to somebody to look at. Is it safe? Not 100%, but, you know, I know it is safe to handle. Is that firearm safe? Chamber is closed. The hammer is back. Who knows? Is that safe? Still no. Chamber is closed, even though it has no magazine. I will not dry fire this one, and there is a reason. I still have original firing pin in this. Your older firearms, do not ever dry fire your older firearms. And a gentleman that I follow his videos, he's a very good gentleman, he's very knowledgeable on firearms. I cringed when he did a review of this pistol. He sat there, and this firearm has a decocker on it. Down is for fire. They're safe. And it has a decocker. I never use the decocker on this. A, it is over 50 years old. It was made as a military firearm. The decocker for that time period was way ahead of its time. With the age of these firearms, don't trust decockers, especially if you have a round in the chamber. You flick that up to decock it, that hammer could possibly strike the back end of your firing pin, which will fire, yet again, mechanical failure. One of my big safeties. It's a great firearm, but the man was taking it and he kept dry firing. And I posted a comment on there, and the reason I griped about it was the original firing pins on these are weak. They are not meant to be dry fired, and this gun does lock back when it is empty. The one that he was shooting wasn't locking back. I don't know what, or not the one he had, but somebody else reviewed one of these and it wasn't locking back. People have modified the insides of these. Mine is all original. Original firing pin, original rollers, which are in great shape. I'm going to be modifying this out. When I go to modify this, you guys will see a video on it. This thing is a nail driver. That's why I carry it. This thing, I trust it over any of my other firearms. I am carrying full metal jackets. Most people would not carry full metal jackets for defensive purposes. There's a reason I'm carrying full metal jackets. This gun was originally designed to shoot through thick coats, body armor basically. Now most people would ask me, why would I want to carry a gun that will do that? Well, I'm not paranoid, but with some of the bad people that have been doing bad things in this world lately, a lot of them are wearing body armor. And it has taken many, many, many rounds of ammunition to bring this person down. I carry this because I know this round has a lot of energy. When I fire this weapon, a lot of energy is going there. Yes, there is going to be over penetration. Brings to the third rule of the firearms. Always know what is beyond your target. That's first rule of, well, not first rule, but third rule of shooting. Always know that what you're shooting at, what is behind it, what is all the way out. With this, I really have to mind my P's and Q's. And there I go, I put the Barney round in. Close it off. I know this gun is ready. Why do I not keep it cocked and locked? Because of that issue that I have about mechanical failures. Yes, most people that would carry with the hammer back with the safety on. That's fine for them. I know me pulling the hammer back is an extra action as opposed to flicking the safety down. But I would rather take that extra action as I'm drawing, pulling that hammer back to be on the ready, than take a chance something happened and this gun drop, the hammer drop, and it go off. That's just me. Many people, they have their own thoughts behind it. Yes, walking around when you carry cocked and locked is fine for some people if you are 100% secure with your equipment. I am a firm believer in Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong. I myself have witnessed many malfunctions with many different types of machines. I was trained to fix a lot of machines. I know that they break. Anything breaks. That's why we have accidents. But that's why you check your equipment. I personally, even if I haven't shot for 2 weeks, I like to go to the range. I either take my mom to the range so that she can practice, so that she can become more proficient with her firearm, and she is more comfortable with her firearm. Or I just recently took my cousin. She needed to blow off some steam. I took her up, and it was really funny. She shot the .22. She liked it okay. She has a 380 auto, a little Caltech, or a Keltec. So she's used to, a baby 9mm. I pulled out the 9mm. She shot it, she was grinning, and she asked me what type of gun this is again. I said it's a 9mm. She says, I gotta get me one of these. Turned around, I told her, I said, well, you made the comment that you were going to be brave enough to shoot the CZ. It is a little hand cannon. Anybody that shot one, they are fun to shoot. They are a blast. Literally. You have muzzle flash coming out about that far off the end of it. It's got a lot of energy. Got it ready for her. She emptied a magazine. She turned around. She was grinning from ear to ear and said, nope, this is what I want. Guess what? I found her one. It's coming in about a week. Setting her up with a CZ. That's what she was wanting. She likes it. I just got to get her some rounds for it now. But practice your craft. Know your equipment. Practice safety. Safety is the number one thing. And recently, I've been seeing more and more accidents because people were negligent with firearms. I don't know the full story behind it, but there's a picture floating around on Facebook of a guy's boot. Has a nice hole in his boot. It shows his foot. There is a hole about that big right where the middle of where his big toe and his index toe is. There's a hole through his foot. I don't know the full story, but he got shot through his boot, through his foot. There was recently a picture on Facebook. The page that posted it, the woman whose hand is in the picture wrote to them and kindly asked them to remove it. And he got the backstory on it. And this is something. If you are going shooting with somebody, find out their real skill level with firearms. And this is why. A gentleman was going to teach her how to handle and use a firearm. They got there, she got shot through the hand. This man was supposedly ex-Marine, weapons instructor. Come to find out, the story was he had washed out during boot camp. He never even made it through boot camp, and all the knowledge he had on firearms come from videos he had watched on YouTube. First thing, playing Call of Duty and all that stuff and watching videos and watching Hollywood movies does not mean you know how to handle a firearm. Actually, being trained on a firearm, using the firearm, taking care of the firearm, that is how you understand how to use firearms. I have been shooting actively for 33 years. Yes, I'm old. My dad, I love this man. He did me right. At 5 years old, he used to take me up on the mountain when we lived down here. There was a nice little spot people used to dump trash out. He took me up there with an old lever action .22. That's what I learned how to shoot, was an old lever action .22. My father taught me from 5 years old on what that weapon would do when you squeeze that trigger. Did I play around with toy guns as a kid? Yes, I did. Plastic guns, played around with them. We used to use BB guns all the time. I did some stupid, reckless things when I was a teenager. I didn't know better because I'd gotten away from practicing with a real firearm and I was playing with toys. Is that bad that I was playing with toy firearms as a kid? No. But I wasn't practicing my skills. I did a little hunting here and there, It wasn't until I went to the Navy myself. I didn't get any awards or medals or anything for shooting firearms. I did go take my weapons training. I practiced safety because I was trained around firearms. So I knew how to handle them properly. We had some people there that did not know firearms and they hurt themselves. Not anything major, but just like shearing the side of the finger. If you do not know firearms, find somebody that actually does, that you know uses firearms on a regular basis. Some police departments, like your local police, like if you're in a smaller town, if you have a local police department, local sheriff's department, departments of conservation, anything like that, if you can get in with these people and just tell them, say, well, I'm looking at purchasing a firearm and I want to learn how to use one safely. You can usually have one of them that would gladly show you for free. But if you can't find something like that, or you don't have somebody in your family, and I'm not going to say a guy, because I've known many guys that are, pardon the phrase, complete idiots when it comes to firearms. And I've known a lot of women that can outshoot a lot of the guys, and which I think is amazing. It's a great thing. But find somebody that is knowledgeable. There are some places that have training courses. Here we have a great firearms store, and I'll post a link to them. They have a great Facebook page. Me and my mom both went to their carry firearm class. These gentlemen there are extremely knowledgeable. They will help you out. I mean, they will try to find you the best equipment and let you know how to use it first. I'm very knowledgeable. I go through them. They're my FFL when I'm buying a new firearm. Yes, I'm going to give them a shameless plug. It's Frontier Firearm in Kingston, Tennessee. These guys are great. Excellent customer service. They answer your questions. If you call them and talk to them, every person in there is extremely knowledgeable. I mean, fantastic store. I'm really glad that this place is close by, and that's where I go to fire. They have a great indoor range. They practice all the safeties. And if they are seeing somebody do something stupid or unsafe, out, which is what a place should do. But just please, people, practice firearm safety. And in my own life, I had a friend that years ago, he was injured by a firearm. I know he still has a little problem with his finger. It was a complete accident. It wasn't anything he did, but there was an accident. He had went to his father's house. Now, I'm not going to say any names, but he had went to his father's house, and his father collects guns, has guns everywhere, keeps them put up for the kids, but he does have guns everywhere. My friend had moved to a larger city. He was living in an apartment complex, and he told his dad, "Yeah, Dad, I'm considering getting me a pistol for home defense while I'm in these apartments." His dad says, "Here you go, you need something like this." Pulled a little revolver out. Just a little, I believe it was either a 30 or 32 caliber. I can't remember exactly which. Scary thing is, my dad has almost the identical model. The one he pulled out was a hammerless. He pulls this thing out, has the little holster, tosses it to my buddy. Was that safe? This is why I'm saying you have to, even people that know firearms can do stupid things. He didn't think anything would happen. He tossed the gun to my buddy. My buddy's sitting there holding it, holding the holster. The muzzle was pointed into his hand. He grabs the bottom of the grip, and I'll demonstrate. And it was about the size of this little 380. I'm not going to put the muzzle in my hand, but, you know, because that would be unsafe. He basically was holding it. When he went to pull the end of the thing, he pulls it out about that far. Bang! What was the two things that you never want to hear? A click when you want to bang, and a bang when you want to hear a click. He wasn't trying to fire this gun. He simply went to pull it out. When he did, the gun went off and shot him through the knuckle. An accident that could have been avoided. But, you know, to this day, I know he still has a little problem with the hand. I think it's his middle finger. He still has a little problem with it. Luckily, it wasn't his writing and drawing and painting hand, because he does a lot of that. But he has damage to his hand. Could he have lost a finger? Yes. Could he have had permanent, severe damage to his hand? Yes. It was just, it was a needless accident, and it was an accident. His dad was freaked out that the gun went off. He was freaked out because the first rule is you don't discharge a firearm in the house. You know, he's freaking out because the gun went off. He thought his dad was yelling at him because the gun went off. His dad was yelling at him because he had a hole through his hand. It's a funny story afterwards because his dad made him a keychain out of the bullet, the actual bullet that went through his hand, because it went through a pillow when was sitting on the bed. So he gives him a keychain with the bullet. Well then, kind of add insult to injury, he gave him the gun still loaded with the one fired round for Christmas. He shows me, he goes, "Look what Dad gave me for Christmas." I joked with him, well, if anybody breaks in your house, just throw the gun at them. When they pull it out, they'll shoot themselves. Yeah, it's not a funny joke. We laughed about it at the time, but it was an accident. Mechanical failure. But please, people, just handle your firearms safely. I know I've been rattling on this video. It's a lot about safety. There's many rules. You go different places, there's a lot of different rules. But just remember 3 rules. There's usually 4, but I'm going to go with 3. These are my 3 rules that I tell people every time. That firearm is always loaded. No matter what, that firearm is loaded. Keep your muzzle pointed in a safe direction, which is usually down. Some people were trained to keep like rifles up, keep guns up. Not always the thing. The more common practice is keep it down, especially when you're outside. Keep it down, pointed at the dirt. So that firearm is always loaded. Number 1 rule, that firearm is always loaded. Even if it's a box of parts, that firearm is always loaded. Number 2, keep your finger off the trigger. Number 3, just keep your weapons secure. We've had kids hurt, we've had adults hurt, and it's simple. You have little things like my 9mm and the little 380 auto came with a trigger lock. Is this 100% secure? No, nothing is 100%. But pull out the little key for it. And this is what's really cool about Hi-Point. Comes in the box, you have a little adjustment tool. Has a screwdriver tip, has the nut wrenches on it, and it's got the little tab. That's actually the key for your firearm. Magazine's out. It's unloaded. Okay. Now it's got that, and then it has where you can put a padlock in this side so that they can't just take that and twist it out. Now, is that still 100% secure? No. Is it safer? it is safer. That would keep a child from accessing it. Because, say they find the magazine, they still can't get to the trigger. They could still load it. Okay? If there was bullets in that magazine, they could still load it. They could still smack it. There could be a mechanical failure. Well, they could put something in there and pry the trigger like this. Okay, they could take this like a screwdriver and try to do the trigger. That's going to be taking some work. It's not 100%, but that's safer, especially if you got smaller kids. Nothing beats locking them up. Now the other thing. The Cobra came with this. Some of you have seen these, some of you may not know what these are. Okay, set this key here. Now I will use the 9mm for this, even though it goes to the Cobra. I would lock it back. You would take this, you drop it down through the body. Oh, this one's going to be, because it's not made for this one exactly. Yeah, I'm not going to use that one. I guess I should have rehearsed this beforehand. Okay. Now I'm pulling the Cobra back. Dropping this in. I can close the chamber. Okay. Now I have this lock in it. What does that do? Magazine cannot go in it. You can still pull it back and drop around in the chamber, but you cannot close the chamber. The firing pin cannot activate. Does this make this gun 100% safe? No. Makes it safer. It makes it where you cannot chamber, you cannot put a magazine in it. This is a safer kind of lock. This firearm came with this lock. Now, you can go to most local police departments and sheriff's departments and tell them, I have a firearm in my home, or I have a relative that has some firearms and I would like one of the firearm cable locks. Most of them will ask you, how many firearms do you need them for? Say you've got 5 guns in the house that you could do it. Say, I would like 5 of them, because say you don't, you're paranoid and you don't want them to know, if they know you, how many guns you got. You could say, oh, well, I need a couple, and I got my friend Fred, who's from a couple counties over, that's coming in. We just want to lock them up because the kids are at the house this weekend. They'll give you all the locks that you want. They're free. You could go and you can buy them at Walmart if you don't want to go to your local PD. They're usually, I want to say like $5 or $10 if you buy them at Walmart or a gun store. But you could go to the police departments and they have these locks. Most police departments and sheriffs have them. You can call them. They are fantastic. Say you have a pump or an auto shotgun. You can actually open up the action, especially a pump. Kick it open, you can feed it through. Shells cannot be brought to bear. They cannot be loaded up into the chamber because the lock's there, it can't fire. Bolt action rifles. You open it up. If it has like a 4-plate or a magazine feed it right through there. It can't be loaded. Some of your semi-automatic rifles, such as your AKs, your ARs, make sure your magazine's out, lock it back, you can feed it through. Now they have a new lock for AR platforms. You can look for them. I've found them on different websites, but it's called a mag lock. And what it is, goes into the magazine well and it locks. You cannot chamber because it has a tab that comes up, so you pull your bolt carrier back and it blocks the chamber and it blocks the mag well. You cannot put a magazine in, and they're real easy in and out. They come in black and yellow. Gun safes, all that stuff. Just keep your firearms secure, keep them out of kids' hands, keep them out of bad guys' hands. This video is about safety. I know I've been rambling on. I cannot stress this enough. I have 3 small children of my own. Well, 2 small ones, one who's a little bigger. He's my 15-year-old. When I was still in Missouri and they were at my house quite a bit, he was 14 at the time. I had my gun cabinet. It is a low-level gun cabinet. I picked it up for $80 at Walmart. Was it going to keep my guns safe? No. A good pair of tin snips, you could get into the thing. But I had small children in the house. Before I had the children, before my youngest 2 was born, my son would come to the house. I kept my rifle and my shotgun I had at the time and my pistol locked up. We had a roommate that was a teenager. She had her teenage friends coming over. I kept my firearms locked up in that because I didn't want some teenager picking one of them up and taking off with it and then doing something stupid. Guess who it would be? And that's the thing. If you have kids in the house, even if you don't have kids in the house, if you need a firearm for home defense, put it somewhere you know you can get to it, but it's out of sight, out of mind. They have concealment pieces now. I mean, they build a thing that goes in the wall that looks like a mirror that you hit a switch and it slides open. You have firearms there. They have clocks that hang on the wall or on the mantle that you can hide a gun in. Now, I'm saying this and everybody's like, oh, you're telling people where we keep our guns. Anybody with half a brain knows this and can look it up. Thieves know you like to hide your guns. Under your mattress is not a safe place. You have a gun safe that is inaccessible. Unless they are specifically in your house looking for firearms, they're not going to take the time to try to break into gun safes. Now you have a little portable like mine. This is a gun case, but it's not a gun safe. If this was out where they could see it and not put up, hey, they got it. It's plastic. Cut. Hey, look, we got this guy's guns. That's why I keep things put up. But most people wouldn't come near my house to begin with. Well, I'm going to wrap this video up. I've been gabbing on long enough. Just please, people, practice firearms safety. I don't want any of you to be the next headline. Okay? I'm going to go put all this away. And I know I've been rambling on a lot today, but just be safe and have fun shooting. Practice your skills. And hopefully I'll see y'all at the range. Thank you.